you wanted to jump. I wanted to jump in just a minute because I think that it's also a matter of thinking about when we think about what goes on in the radio station. We also have to connect it to what's going on in the base and the communities. So when you're talking about coming to BAI feeling a stranger, the changes that are going on in the city of New York obviously has an effect upon the aesthetics of how people listen and think about the radio. And I'm thinking particularly about the whole entire question of gentrification, you know, because it's not just a question of gentrification in our communities, but also gentrification of culture, you know, and also thinking about not only Bernard White at radio stations, but also Bernard White's, I've been saying this, Bernard White's at various public colleges, at universities, at libraries, you know, a larger picture in terms of how historical memory is being, there's an attempt, some sort of attempt at sort of exercising certain types of contentious historical memory, particularly in the age of Bloomberg, if that makes sense. I don't know if we're comment on that.
Well, it makes sense to me in this way. There was a very dynamic period at WBAI. That dynamic period was a reflection of what was happening in society and what was happening in the world. There's some people who believe that we should lead the revolution. That's not our job. Our job is to give the leaders of the revolution the opportunity to come and say, well, we're revolting. BAI was in the 90s, in the early 80s, because I was there then too. There was a war going on in almost every country in Central America. We talked about it. Apartheid was in South Africa. We talked about it. Struggles were taking place throughout Latin America. We talked about it. Struggles in the Middle East, and we talked about it. All of these things were going on, which gave that BAI a very dynamic character. We brought in people to talk about those issues. A lot of people learned a lot, I know I did, about what was happening in various parts of the world. The world is a little different right now. And we reflect also that difference. And one of the things that, speaking of gentrification, I mean, that's a good way to characterize what's happening at WBAI. Folks are coming back to take their territory, what they consider to be their territory. WBAI is a public radio station. It has a mandate to be reflective of what is happening in the area in which it broadcasts. All of the stations that don't have that are not in compliance with their mandate. We made an attempt to try and do that. And there were people who were angered by it, who organized effectively to begin to restructure WBAI. So we're going to, there's going to be I believe that there's going to be a fight back. And one of the things about WBAI audiences is that they're very receptive. And one of the things that unites us all is that we don't believe or will not support injustice. And that is what's happening. What the local station board is doing now, for instance, there's supposed to be a meeting tomorrow evening. I haven't told anybody what the address is. No, Wednesday evening. Is that tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Nobody knows.
They haven't told anybody where the address is.
Not yet.
With me, they called a couple of weeks ago. Grace Herron came into town. This woman from who's the interim executive director and also the chairman of the board. She came into town. I made myself available because I was out sick, but I went into the station anyway and made myself available if she wanted to talk to me about programming. When I passed her in the hallway, she started looking down like she had dropped something and just went on by me, right? So she didn't talk to me the whole time she was here. But she talked to a lot of people who shared her views. Then LaVon Williams came in, who was the one who replaced Anthony Riddle. She came, I saw her on a Thursday. She said, "Good morning, Bernard." Then on Friday, at the end of the day, she gave me a letter saying that I was going to be suspended for 10 days without pay. Never said anything to me about programming. I was not able to organize a series of successful fund drives, and I was not able to put a program together that was interesting and retained the audience for the station. Those were the reasons. Now, those reasons followed from a closed session board meeting, which was illegally put together, where there was already an evaluation process in motion. And folks were meeting around that. There was a board committee that was meeting around that. This guy, same guy, Stephen Brown, made a motion to suspend the process. He then made a motion that they do a on-the-spot evaluation of both me and the station manager. Now, there was some opposition to that. In fact, one of the groups that's a part of the board, the Justice and Unity group, they protested. They protested at every step of the way. Finally, they said, look, we're leaving, we're not going to be a part of this. So they did their evaluation, and at that point, they asked for my termination, and they also asked the station manager to do it, and if he didn't do it, it would not be looked upon favorably on his evaluation. So there are a whole lot of illegal things that they have done, and we're going to begin to deal with those issues. But we have a group of people who believe that somebody like Roseanne Barr, who probably is a very nice person, that Roseanne, if you remember Grace Aaron when she was here, she was saying that, well, you know, in KPFK, we have Roseanne Barr on the air, and a lot of people like her. And perhaps you could put Roseanne Barr here on in New York. Now, that's just a window into the mindset that we have.
Wow.
They are not interested in cutting-edge kinds of programs. They are interested in taking back, trying to go back to a period that no longer exists, which is going to be put BAI, I believe, out of sync with the community of listeners. It might bring in some new listeners, but it won't be the kind of progressive radio station that it has evolved into. And I'm hoping that people pay close attention to what's going on, because I think people are going to be outraged when they find out what really happened and how it happened.